we've lost religion in our country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book. I hate my opponent, and I don't want the best for them. I'm sorry. You see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. I'd like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
These days, the word hate is no longer whispered, it's shouted.
If you do, I'll defend you in court.
Donald Trump has declared, "I hate my enemies." This is not just a personal confession from a psychologically frail and traumatised individual, it's a political strategy.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best.
One people, one nation, and immigration.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
Hatred is verbalised, cultivated, amplified and weaponised, dividing nations, even Trump's own home-ground population, into those for us and those against us. Evidence for Trump's hatred, racism and demonisation of others goes back a long way.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
It was especially evident in his 1989 campaign against the Central Park Five, a group of black and Latino teenagers who were wrongly convicted of the rape and assault of a white female jogger in Central Park.
14,000 apartments in 39 different buildings.
Trump's racism was evident in the 1970s when he and his father discriminated against African Americans regarding rental of apartments in Trump buildings.
Trump management was charged with discriminating against African Americans and breaking federal law. Donald Trump, then just 27, was president of the company.
More recently, even Trump supporters have been shocked by an image sent by Trump on social media depicting the Obamas as apes. Trump has a history of talking tough with an implied sense of violence.
Where I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters, okay? It's like incredible.
We're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
Trump's language and behaviour frequently reflects an almost infantile preoccupation with revenge.
I would have wiped the floor with the guys that weren't loyal, which I will now do, which is great. You know, I love getting even with them.
And a kind of adolescent macho language not previously seen publicly with presidents.
Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
Given the opportunity, I will get even with some people that were disloyal to me.
He meets criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, antisocial personality disorder, or psychopathic personality disorder, meets criteria for paranoid personality disorder. And that's not even getting into the delusional disorder.
I know more about the other side than almost anybody.
I know more about steelworkers than anybody that's ever run for office.
Trump's politics of hatred, power, control and narcissistic self-aggrandizement,
I know more about drones than anybody. I know about every...
as well as personal financial enrichment, look very like an adolescent braggadocio, but more seriously, of a deeply disturbed individual. A large number of psychologists attribute his grandiose personality to being compensation for a childhood devoid of true loving attention and empathy, dominated by his father's brutal killer attitude and philosophy. Trump's niece Mary, a psychologist, author and political commentator, has written extensively about her uncle.
I think the best place to start is when Donald was around 2.5, which is an extremely crucial period in human emotional and psychological development.
And outlines the infantile trauma and child abuse she suggests is the cause of Trump's pathologies.
When he was 2.5, my grandmother got very ill. Donald, who was at a very, very critical point in his development as a child, was essentially abandoned by her. He He may not entirely trust women. He finds it difficult, if not impossible, to connect with them on any deep level, because I don't believe he ever was able to with her.
I've really been struck by how many of these very violent men have maternal abandonment in their background.
When you ask him about how she showed her love, he has nothing to say. The complexity of that relationship, I think, plays out through all of his relationships with women throughout his life. With one wife after another, there is an inability to reach any recognizable level of intimacy.
He was the youngest of 4, and at that point, my grandmother had just had her 5th child.
Under good circumstances, with sole access to the mother's breast and her caring attentions, the nursing infant forms an image of the so-called good breast. Rejection, refusal or inability to access the breast or the mother's care and attention develops an internal impression of the bad breast.
She is not what she seemed.
Melanie Klein argued that early in life, the infant splits the mother's breast into a good breast that satisfies and soothes, and a bad breast that frustrates and feels persecuting. This splitting, with intense love and hate kept apart, is the basis of the paranoid schizoid position, in which the infant experiences anxiety as if threatened by a bad object and defends against it by splitting and projection. One could interpret Donald Trump's political persona and rhetoric as reflective of a persistent, infantile, paranoid schizoid position.
I'm a dictator. But sometimes you need a dictator.
Constantly on the alert and always in control.
So we are going to run the country.
Deprived of a reliable good breast in infancy, he projects the terrifying bad breast onto a vast array of enemies.
I do believe I'll be having the honor of taking Cuba. Take it. I think I could do anything I want with it. You want to know the truth?
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything.
A spokesman for their pain, Trump gives a voice, a narrative and a target for their chaotic, primitive anxieties of the paranoid schizoid position experienced by his supporters.
Impassioned, resentful, and easily roused. These self-described patriots had been called here by their president in multiple tweets, beginning on December 19 with his invocation, "Be there, we'll be wild."
He makes his followers feel understood and at a level deeper than policy, because he is not speaking to their rational mind. Trump is speaking to their emotions and their feelings, to their most deeply buried, unintegrated and frightened selves.
People here, and I just want them to be recognized by the fake news media. Turn your cameras, please. And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake. Stopping the invasion. Send Joe Biden's illegal
He targets
aliens
immigrants,
back home.
the media and the establishment, while simultaneously crafting an idealised picture of himself for his adoring supporter base as the only source of safety and love for them and their future.
God bless you and good night. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I think there's only one thing that motivates him, and it's personal attention.
When Trump biographer Michael Wolff asked Trump why he wanted to become president, he answered, "To be the most famous person in the world."
He was perfectly comfortable with this. He said, "To be the most famous man in the world."
According to Wolff, Trump's primary consideration in life is to be, like a little child, the centre of everyone's attention. Effectively, to be loved.
I'm going to do things which give me more attention.
You love me, you love me, you love me. With his arms spread in a Christ-like pose as the Saviour himself, Trump once declared,
I am the chosen one.
Trump's repeated claims of closeness to God and of being the saviour himself resurfaced in April 2026.
He wants the world to worship him as a god.
Another authoritarian character claiming divinity is Immortan Joe in Mad Max Fury Road.
I am your Redeemer. It is by my hand you will rise from the ashes of this world.
Trump's political appeal lies in his ability to articulate the emotions, the shame and the rage of his followers.
Absolutely, people are angry, and you can feel it. You can feel the rage, the madness.
Over the past 40 years, a slow earthquake has shaken the foundations of male identity in the Western world. Jobs that once guaranteed money, status and identity are disappearing. Traditional gender roles are no longer sacred. Cultural authority and superiority has eroded.
In this day and age, women have nothing but options.
Your wife starts talking, you're like, shut up.
Women in society are becoming increasingly powerful and independent. The influence of these economic factors of social movements and media, and particularly the question of so-called female control over men, is alluded to in the television series Adolescence. But why are men so attracted to figures such as Andrew Tate?
An easy way to view the world and try to understand why certain things happen.
And Enrique Tarrio.
It's this guy that used to sell camera equipment in Miami to suddenly being praised by Donald Trump.
Because as humans, we're always searching for meaning. We're searching for understanding.
Trump supporters believe almost religiously that the world is sharply divided between absolute good and absolute evil, and that the world they know and love is being taken from them.
Stop the steal! It's our country, we want it back!
They feel they have been starved of recognition, power and safety, threatened by the bad breast of modern, globalised, multicultural society. Trump's political appeal lies in his ability to articulate this same paranoid schizoid anxiety for his followers. He becomes the living, breathing avatar, a symbol and a representative for that same psychic structure in his millions of supporters.
I am your voice. I am with you. I will fight for you, and I will win for you. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. God bless you and good night. I love you.
Siegfried Kracauer argued that German cinema before Hitler reflected a deep psychological predisposition towards authoritarianism. Kracauer claimed that films from the Weimar Republic revealed a collective mindset marked by submission, chaos anxiety, and longing for a strong leader. This psychological history, Kracauer contended, helped explain how Hitler could rise, as audiences were unconsciously conditioned for tyranny. Likewise, an argument could be made for the media coverage of the Trump phenomenon and his emergence and rule as President of the United States.
God bless you and good night. I love you.
My view is that if you took the kind of more pay attention to Trump himself, pay attention to his ramblings and what he's saying, pay attention to the social media posts, what you might call the psychological school of analysis of Donald Trump. In my theory is that has proved to be more accurate over time.
I do a lot of work with men on death row and murder cases and imprisoned men, and what I've come to see them as mostly is untreated, traumatized children inhabiting the bodies of often very scary men.
Yeah, I want you to tell them like a guy like me.
You're a scared little boy sometimes.
And one thing that makes them so scary is their unconsciousness about that wounded child and the anger of that child and the fear of that child. And now in a big body, they're doing things on behalf of that child without even an awareness of it. And sometimes it's almost hard to believe how unaware they are.
With help from therapy, Mike Tyson nowadays has a more realistic view of himself, unlike Donald Trump, who seems to lack any degree of self-knowledge.
I see a little boy that tricked the world to believe that he's the killer when he's really scared, little boy. I'm a great actor. I want people to love me. I want people to care about me. That's the way I became ferocious. No one loved and cared for me. So I didn't think I should care. I was programmed that way. Nobody cares about you.
At the infant's earliest stage of development, it can feel itself to be the apple of its mother's eye, the ruler of its own domain, the king of the world.
Don't worry about that baby. I love babies. So I love babies. I hear that baby crying. I like it. What a baby.
But the introduction of another baby,
What a beautiful baby.
can be significantly destabilising
Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here.
for an existing infant.
That's all right. Don't worry. I think she really believed me that I love having a baby crying while I'm speaking.
Who may feel itself to have been displaced,
That's okay.
thrown aside,
People don't understand.
removed from the position of central focus.
And 9 months after that, she became very, very ill. And for the next year was essentially absent, either emotionally or physically, because she was in and out of the hospital. She had several operations. She was in a great deal of pain. So during this crucial developmental period, Donald was essentially without his mother, his primary caregiver. And the only person available to step in was my grandfather, Fred, who was a sociopath.
Young Donald had his own crisis, finding his place in a family dominated by his father, Fred, a stern and demanding real estate developer.
Donald's father's overall message to his children was compete, win, be a killer. Do what you have to win.
Complete separation from the mother can feel catastrophic and may be experienced as the death of the mother, with its attendant feelings of guilt.
Where were you, man?
Or indeed as a shattering or death of the infant's emerging sense of self.
During that time, Donald was in a state of near perpetual fear and loneliness. He wasn't nurtured, he wasn't mirrored, he wasn't held. And I can only imagine just how awful and dark that time was.
He was determined to live up to his father's ideal, be a killer. But he was also tempestuous, impulsive, and at 13, his father sent him to military school. It would be a 5-year lesson in how to be a bully.
Donald Trump yelled at his classmates, he pushed them around, he even used a broomstick as a weapon against classmates who didn't listen to him when he told them what to do.
Inside that brutal world, Donald had found his place. With his father and mother by his side, Donald graduated. He'd become a killer, learned the power of bullying to get ahead. A method he'd carry into the future.
Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong.
The origin of this preoccupation with strength, power and control can be seen in the infantile drama played out in the third Mad Max film, Beyond Thunderdome.
Have a look. Tell me what you see.
I see a big guy giving a little guy a piggyback.
Master Blaster.
Deep in the bowels of Bartertown, what Trump might refer to as a shithole country, we see the diminutive master, whose size suggests that of a baby, or at least a small child, as he argues with the mother figure Auntie Entity about who controls the world she created, which is now powered by methane, produced from pig shit.
Who run Bartertown?
Master Blaster.
Master Blaster? What?
Master Blaster runs Bartertown.
Lift embargo.
In classical psychoanalytic terms, the original infantile shit fight is an early contest over autonomy, power and control. At the centre of this battle is the child's control of its own faeces, its toileting, and the baby's original opponent is the mother, because the mother, and soon the wider social world, pressures the child towards timing, cleanliness and compliance regarding these processes. Freud even suggests that this faeces may be interpreted by the infant as a gift to the mother. Freud observed that for an infant, faeces represents the first treasured creative act, its first possession that is truly theirs to give or withhold. This battle with the mother over potty training becomes the child's introduction to independence, authority and self-assertion. Interestingly enough, besides threatening to shut down his labour force and the production of methane, Master Blaster then throws shit at Auntie, stressing its ambiguous nature as both a gift and a weapon. The symbolic duality of faeces can be interpreted in this painting by Australian artist Albert Tucker, where the biblical figure of Judas appears to be taking a shit, as well as vomiting the 30 pieces of silver, his reward from the Romans. It also features in the expression sitting on a gold mine. And the psychological conjunction of shit and gold, or money, is captured here in the film Unforgiven, where Eastwood, as a hired gun, accompanied by a young would-be gunslinger, are waiting for their intended victim to leave the house on a stinking hot day to use the outdoor lavatory.
Sure is ripe. Yeah. Gonna get a lot riper.
You think he's still in there?
Yeah, he's in there.
Yeah, well, he's holding on to his shit like it was money.
Where Donald Trump constantly invokes tariffs, Master Blaster uses embargoes.
Lift embargo.
I picked those drapes in my first term. I always liked gold.
Trump's fixation on gold and dominance isn't just about wealth. It's a psychological regression to the earliest stage of human power, the toddler's control over its own body. Trump's horror of germs on the one hand and obsession with cleanliness on the other
I'm also very much of a germaphobe, by the way.
is also reflected in his preoccupation with gold. He applies the same primitive logic to geopolitics. Gold becomes the ultimate symbol of purity and control, while the shithole countries represent everything that must be expelled and distanced. The world gets split into those who possess the treasure, that is, the powerful, the clean, and those who are mired in the waste,
When they first arrived at this migrant camp in Mexico City,
the degraded and the powerless. It's a worldview frozen at the anal stage, where strength means holding on to your gold and never being associated with the shit.
The 18-karat working toilet is titled America and was created by an Italian designer named Maurizio Catalan.
So Donald developed some very powerful defense mechanisms to keep himself from feeling so constantly terrified and alone. My grandfather came to value those things that most of us would consider negatives. The bullying, the contemptuousness, the always believing you're right, the thinking you're better than everybody else.
Trump's primitive psychological state, characterised by splitting the world into absolute good and bad objects, is epitomised in his hostile, dehumanising language towards designated enemies like the domestic fake news, the radical left, and international targets such as the so-called shithole countries.
I've also announced a permanent pause on third world migration, including from hellholes like Afghanistan, Haiti, Somalia, and many other countries. I didn't say shithole, you did.
This paranoid mindset sees threats and evil as coming from outside.
China and Russia would have been there if we didn't do this.
It reacts by aggressively pushing things away.
We have an armada, a giant armada like nobody's ever seen, but the first wave was so powerful and so good and so strong.
And building walls, both real and symbolic.
Build that wall. 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 Build that wall.
Trump's infamous immigration crackdown and the rallying cry to build that wall perfectly represent this kind of psychological defence. The wall is meant to keep out what Trump and his supporters fear: immigrants portrayed as invaders, criminals and pollutants. This protects their vision of a pure, great and powerful America. Images of the actions being taken by ICE, Trump's immigration squad goons, resemble Nazi roundups of Jews in Hitler's Germany, and Trump's invective about immigrants sounds like the Führer himself. In November 2023, Forbes and other media outlets reported on comments made by then former President Donald Trump, in which he described his political opponents as vermin. This language drew widespread condemnation and comparisons to Adolf Hitler and Nazi propaganda, which used similar rhetoric to dehumanise political opponents and Jews.
We pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country, that lie and steal and cheat on elections. The threat from outside forces is far less sinister, dangerous, and grave than the threat from within. And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news, the enemy of the people.
You know, the words that Donald Trump used today, enemy from within, that's Hitler-esque. That is right out of Nazi Germany.
1984 is a British black and white science fiction film available on YouTube.
Brothers, we're at war with the people of Eurasia.
Based on the famous 1949 novel by George Orwell, it depicts a totalitarian future of a dystopian society. Regarded as controversial at the time, the novel is still banned in some places today due to its stark portrayal of authoritarianism, government surveillance and censorship. The film provides a vivid depiction of a population deeply enthralled by the propaganda of the ruling authorities and their message of hatred and division. Viewers today may see dreadful parallels with that novel from 1949 and the filmed version from 1956 with the politics of today.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
In denying the legitimacy of elections.
It was a rigged election. It was a rigged election.
By threatening the very institutions of American society, from the law courts to the universities and the media, as well as the role of the military, Donald Trump has proven to be a force of division and destruction.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol.
Trump champions a politics of hatred and narcissistic self-aggrandizement. It's the behaviour of a schoolyard bully or a mafia boss who has taken his malevolence to a new level, copying the behaviour of authoritarian figures from the past and present-day dictators from other countries. Trump thrives on division, casting opponents and fabricated enemies as not merely ideological rivals, but as enemies of the state who must be hated, humiliated and destroyed.
You better believe that I hate the people. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate them.
Donald Trump's politics of hatred is exposed for what it truly is, the public performance of a personal, lifelong wound. Deprived of the good breast, of unconditional motherly love, of maternal mirroring, of a safe place in the world, and exacerbated by a sociopathic paternal influence, he has constructed an entire worldview based on that early emotional abandonment. He projects the bad breast onto immigrants, journalists, and entire nations, while demanding that his followers become the idealised good object who will provide him with the love that his own mother could not. Trump is a spokesman for the abandoned infant in the heart and the head of millions of others.
I love you!
You can feel the rage, the madness.
Giving voice to their fear, their rage, and their hunger for a love that politics can never provide.
Stop the steal! It's our country, we want it back!
We have a constitutional crisis of sorts, right, where a president has really disregarded all of the checks and balances, but we have someone with a brain disorder, okay, a deteriorating brain disorder, so they have no internal controls or judgment. Donald Trump's id is now sort of in control of the world. He has no advisors, we have no constitution, we have no checks and balances. It's like everything just radiates from his id, and there's not a single thing to sort of stop an impulse in his disturbed brain from becoming a war.
Different from any other war that we have ever seen, because it is being driven by the psychosis of one individual.
We're going to bring them back to the Stone Ages where they belong.
All the guardrails, all the processes, all the systems that have evolved over time to avoid just this kind of catastrophe have been shut down, broken down, run around, and we're left with a decaying, elderly, ignorant, paranoid, vainglorious, deluded commander-in-chief. The world has not been as negatively affected by the psychological dysfunction within the mind of one person since Hitler blew his brains out in the bunker underneath the German Reich Chancellery in April of 1945.
We're winning so big, nobody's ever seen anything like we're doing in the Middle East with Iran. And they are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
At the end of the Oxbow incident, Henry Fonda reads a letter written by an innocent man prior to being hanged by a bunch of vigilante townspeople.
My dear wife, Mr. Davies will tell you what's happening here tonight. He's a good man and has done everything he can for me. I suppose there's some other good men here too, only they don't seem to realize what they're doing. They're the ones I feel sorry for, because it'll be over for me in a little while, but they'll have to go on remembering for the rest of their lives. Man just naturally can't take the law into his own hands and hang people without hurting everybody in the world, because then he's just not breaking one law, but all laws. Law's a lot more than words you put in a book, or judges or lawyers or sheriffs you hire to carry it out. It's everything people ever have found out about justice and what's right and wrong. It's the very conscience of humanity. There can't be any such thing as civilization unless people have a conscience. Because if people touch God anywhere, where is it except through their conscience? And what is anybody's conscience except a little piece of the conscience of all men that ever lived?
We've lost religion in our country. All Americans need a Bible in their home, and I have many. It's my favorite book. It's a lot of people's favorite book.
Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bricks Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There'll be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell just to watch. Praise be to Allah.